Howdy folks, and welcome back to another Members First deck profile. This week, I'm going to be bringing you guys Dinomon. Dinomon got some brand new, really good pieces in BT-22 that we're going to go over, along with some changes I've made to my list. For anyone who maybe hasn't seen already, I did a list for Dinomon back when it first dropped, when EX8 first came out and everything. I did a whole list for it, and I saw some pretty good success with it then. And I'm a very big Dinomon enjoyer. He looks a lot like a certain Goji boy, and I love Godzilla. I mean, I got stuff and more stuff in the corner that I'm not going to move the camera for because then we'll go on a tangent. But before I jump into all of the deck profile stuff, just want to say a quick thank you to our members. Quick shout out to you guys. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate you very, very much. And to anyone who sees this video when it goes public, thank you for checking out the channel. Hopefully you enjoy this content. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the deck profile. Hopefully at least gives you some ideas, somewhere to start for your own Dinomon list to move forward to. Or you know, just sort of put your own spin on. You know, I hope it just gives you some ideas. If it does, maybe consider sticking around the channel, checking out our other content. Hit the subscribe button to do so that way you can get, you know, see all, well, you do that, and then you hit the notification bell as well, so that way you know when our videos go up, so you can check out all the match play commentary, deck profiles, deck check things. We're also starting to do Gundam stuff now as well, on Wednesdays and Fridays. Jarrell and Rio are heading that up, and it's been really, really cool so far. So hopefully you guys, if you're, you know, anyone else who's interested in Gundam, that's a pretty good place to start. Maybe seeing some gameplay and get an idea of how the game sort of works. Maybe find some interest in it yourself. We'll probably expand on that more as time goes on. And then maybe just give the video a like if you like this video. Or that's kind of redundant to say, wasn't it? But you know what I mean. You get the point. Anyways, let's jump into the list here. So starting off with babies, we're still running a red base. So we got 4 copies of the BT-14 Koro for just that extra card draw when security is removed. And then 1 copy of the EX8 Koro. It's just good for kind of getting rid of small bodies when you're swinging. Can get rid of small blockers and things like that. So a pretty handy card. Honestly, there's a world where I might actually move to running more of this card now instead of running the BT-14 Koro as much, because if the list feels consistent enough where I don't know if you necessarily need the extra draw anymore, it might be just better to be able to clear out more bodies on a board, especially because of how wide boards are starting to get now in the card game. Like, they're so, like, especially with the list on the horizon that we have coming up, the new ban list, there's a very good chance that wide board decks will start to kind of run over the meta. So that's something to just consider when looking at this list, as maybe some changes there. But moving forward from that, we run 4 copies of the old EX8 Agu, just the top best searcher, grabs a Tyrannoan name and reptile or dinosaur reptile or dinosaur trait card, and then 1 Ryutaro specifically. It's not like the other Liberator searchers. We're running him just for the DP boost, mostly more than anything else for inherit stuff, but then the search as well, so it's just really, really good. We're then jumping on to the next guy. We're running 4 copies of the EX8 green-purple Agu. On place to spend something. Retail inherit. The retail inherit's actually really, really big right now for a lot of decks because so many things are so big. The retail can actually come up quite handedly with Dinomon's opponent's turn effect. So I've had it save me multiple times in many different games, especially against things like armors, for example. So he's really good, solid for that. And as you're sort of noticing too, if you remember my old list, if you did check out that video, if you're new here, then don't worry about it. But I used to run a primarily red base line because I just felt that was best. So I ran like red search options and stuff like that. Garnet boost specifically once we got access to that. But because a lot of the new cards are all green purple or green black, we've leaned more into the green side of things. So that's why you're seeing a lot more green now. Jumping into our first new stuff though, for Dinomon, because Dinomon's whole new thing that they got with BT-22 was all the X antibody pieces. Agumon X antibody. So this guy has on play on Evo. You can return 1 Digimon card with Tyrannomon in its name or the dinosaur trait from your trash to the hand. Very, very helpful. So many decks are starting to get more and more access to the trash in terms of grabbing pieces back, spitting out bodies, etc. Because purple just for so long as a color alone had an innate advantage in that they basically had a second hand with the trash, right? And it was supposed to be balanced out with like yellow having like security as an extra hand and like blue being able to draw a lot more. Red's supposed to be having like more aggression than other decks so it could end games faster. But the problem is that as the game's gone on, so many decks have just gotten like other access to other colors like shticks in terms of like cheaper evo costs, memory, efficiency, aggression, etc. that the trash identity was the one thing that wasn't really transferring across different colors. And so finally, I think Bandai is realizing, hey, we need to do that more. And obviously, I know this is a purple-green card, but the deck is primarily like green-red, green-black, with the only real purple pieces in there being like the rookies and the fours. So it's nice to have more access to that. And we're even seeing other cards getting access to grabbing pieces back from trash and other stuff, like the Omnidex Agus, for example. So just something to keep in mind as the game moves forward. We'll probably see more of that as well. And then the inherit for him is all turns once per turn. When this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle specifically, you gain a memory. So really, really nice considering how much suspending you do on your opponent's Digimon. It pairs really well with the Rust Tyranno promo as well if you have that. I don't have any myself. That's part of the reason why you don't see any in this list. Not because I think it's a bad option. I think it's actually a fairly solid option now. That we have all these memory gain inherits off of deleting something in battle, because before there wasn't really much like worth in it. But now we have there's a lot more value to that side of play, especially with how sticky bodies are to everything except for battle deletion. Jumping on to level 4s, still running 4 copies of the EX8 Tyrannomon. I mean, being able to have him play out of security is just huge. It can just bring you back into so many games so quickly, especially if you're bricked on rookies for some weird reason. And the start of main phase or on Evo gives +3 KDP until the end of your opponent's turn, and then +2K inherit. Really, really nice. 3 copies of the promo Tyranno X. I did cut down on one of these guys to make room for some other level 4 shenanigan stuff. Has raid on Evo, or on attack rather, sorry. If a card with Tyrannomon in its name or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the Tyrannomon in its name or dinosaur trait in the hand. With the cost reduced by 1. So he's still really good for just giving us that cost reduction on the swing, or the cost reduction Evo on the swing, sorry. Raid access lets us get that better aggression at swinging over bodies to get more worth out of our inherits from Agu X. So I mean, you're not going to get Dark Tyranno X's inherit out of that, obviously, because you're already going to be in this level 4X antibody, but you get at least Agu X's out of it. So there's a little bit more worth there now. And then, just being able to Evo and do your whole swing thing is just really, really nice. I mean, the coolest thing about Dino is the fact that you just basically explode from a level 4 to a really powerful level 6, all for effectively 5 memory was what it used to be. Now you can technically do it even cheaper. With all of the memory gain, you can cut it down to a 3 cost, like total play realistically. So your odds of keeping turn are a lot better now, which is really, really cool. Well, I guess, no, it'd probably still be at least 4 cost type of play because Dark Tyranno X doesn't reduce the Evo cost. We'll get to him in a second. Sorry. Bad math on my part, but you get the idea. So you can make it like a 4 cost play typically. So you save yourself in memory. So really, really cool there. Jumping on to the next card, 2 copies of this Dark Tyrannomon from EX8. So initially, I really did not like this card. I was only running him for the sake of being able to activate Dark Tyranno X's effects, because Dark Tyranno X specifically looks for Dark Tyrannomon or X Antibody. Whereas this Tyrannomon just looks for something with Tyrannomon in name, so he can go over either Dark or regular and still get his full effects. I don't know why they gave Dark Tyranno X that sort of restriction there. It's honestly kind of annoying. I don't feel like the deck needed that sort of like... It didn't need that chain pulled. It didn't need that leash on it. It's just a weird thing. It's not like the deck's going to be like all of a sudden tier 0 if you let it just be able to use anything with Tyrannomon in name and sources to activate the other one Digivolving effect. But it is what it is. But Dark Tyranno on player on Evo can suspend one of your opponent's Tamers, and then one of their Tamers can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. And then the retail inherit as well, just to have another extra instance of that, which is really, really nice. So initially it wasn't that, I didn't think too highly of that card. It's like, it had niche moments where it was okay. But it didn't just have as much value as some of the other cards that let you play out Tamers for free. But because of how reliant so many decks are now on Tamers, I mean, they still were when this card dropped, but I feel like it's accelerated even more so, where so many decks are like, they really want their Tamers to use their effects, to be able to suspend those Tamers, to use the effects and get some sort of advantage or high roll into something. So being able to lock down those Tamers can actually be really, really valuable. A lot more so now. So it's nice to have them there. And then the extra retail inherit, especially if you stack it with the other retail inherit, like 2 instances of retail can sometimes just burn through a Digimon's protections really, really well. So it's really good in that instance there. So he comes up a lot there, but mostly he is here to activate our Dark Tyrannomon X Antibody. This is the brand new card from 22 that we got, who can still go over any level 4 with Tyrannomon in name without the X Antibody trait, but his when Digivolving effect specifically looks for Dark Tyrannomon, sorry. Specifically looks for Dark Tyrannomon or X Antibody in its sources, and then it deletes a level 4 or lower, which is good. Having that sort of level 4 or lower deletion like ability to help get rid of floodgates, help control just other like level 4 bodies that your opponent maybe had to hard play or got stuck at, is really, really nice. Some decks just play a lot, very typically at the level 4 level nowadays too, like armors, puppets, like a lot of those decks will have a lot of level 4 bodies on the board. So it's really good to have that. And then when attacking, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Tyrannomon in its name or the dinosaur trait in the hand. And then it has the same inherit as the Agumon X Antibody. So the extra memory gain off battle deletion is nice for the inherit. The only difference between him that makes him a little bit worse, I think, than Tyranno X is the fact that he doesn't reduce the Evo cost on his when attacking effect to go up the line. So if you're not getting the value off of deleting something with his when Digivolving effect, he's basically just a worse version of the promo Tyranno X. But he still has like value there. Like having that little extra control occasionally can be nice. So we're still running him. We run enough X Antibodies where sometimes if we don't see Dark Tyrannomon, we can tuck it under our regular Tyranno and then go Dark Tyranno X over that and still get the when Digivolving effect to help control board. But yeah, so we're running 11 level 4s for that, because the other thing too is this Tyrannomon, the fact that he plays out of security, he almost acts kind of like an option card in that sense. So we're okay having a little bit higher level 4 ratio here, just to be able to have better instances of that happening, in addition to making sure we're consistent with going up our line. Jumping onto our level 5s, we're running 8 level 5s total. We run 1 copy of the Master Tyrannomon. We've cut down on him because of the new Metal Tyranno X. We want to make sure that we have that guy in there for a lot of other things. He gives us like the extra DP boost that we need to kind of meet the requirements to swing over a lot of like the standard things in the metagame now. But Master Tyranno still has some really good value to him with Fortitude, on play on Evo, suspending something, and then deleting something. Then if he's suspended, he deletes something with 8,000 DP or less. So just really, really good for extra little bit of board control. And the Sec +1 inherit can be very, very impactful as well, along with Dinomon and our level 6s that we run. So good card there. Jumping on to our Metal Tyrannomon here, 4 copies of him because we want to see this guy every time. It's super important right now. So on player on Evo, suspend something. Then if he's suspended, you Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. And then until the end of your opponent's turn, their effects can't return this Digimon to hand or dex or affect it with Digivolve effects. Then alternates inherit of when you delete something in battle, you trash your opponent's top security card. So you get a lot more merit to deleting things in battle. There's a lot more worth there. But honestly, the bounce and Digivolve protection is just huge. The bounce is not as crazy as it used to be because there's not too many things that bounce to bottom of deck anymore. We are getting more cards now, I think, as of like 21 and 22. We've started to roll back into that. We're moving away from like deletion-based effects and moving more into bounce effects again. But Digivolve still has been really, really strong. A lot of other decks are getting access to that effect. So being able to have that protection to guarantee your Fortitude and keep your opponent's turn effect active on Dinomon is really, really important. So it's nice to have that there. Jumping on to our last level 5 here, our other brand new card that we got for the deck is the Metal Tyranno X. So he has Collision, can go over level 5 with Tyrannomon in its name without the X Antibody trait for a cost of 1. On Evo, he gets +4 KDP until your opponent's turn ends. That happens regardless. Then if Metal Tyrannomon, specifically Metal Tyranno, and that's why we've eased back on Master Tyranno. Well, another reason why Metal Tyranno, I think overall is probably just the better level 5 at the moment for the Digivolve and bounce protection. But back to this card. But if you have Metal Tyranno or X Antibody in your sources, one of your opponent's Digimon can't Digivolve until their turn ends. So you can shut off ace cards, which is really, really impactful. So you're almost allowed to now like let your opponent do their play first with Dinomon, and then have just this massive clapback as you sort of accrue resources, and then just push up and swing for the fences and just potentially wipe their board just through all the different like deletion effects you have access to now. Swinging through things, setting up this big, like you typically will be 20k guy on your opponent's turn who their opponent has to swing into a suspended Digimon. Will typically be them. That can't be Digivolved, can't be bottom decked. If he's deleted, he plays out from Fortitude. Like he's just really, really strong. It's a really good card. And this guy's really good for just helping enable all of that. Also has Collision as well, so even if you stop here, with all the DP boosts you have, you can be a fairly large Metal Tyranno X with Collision and still swinging over things. And then he also has the inherit of end of opponent's turn. Once per turn, you may choose one of your opponent's Digimon. Your opponent attacks with a chosen Digimon. So we have a taunt effect now. Access to which that Dinomon having access to that is actually really, really nice, especially because of his opponent's turn effect to force them to swing into unsuspended Digimon. Suspended Digimon. So you can force your opponent to swing into your Dinomon and die, and then potentially, trash security, gain memory, etc. So if your opponent has something on board, you can basically say, hey, even if you choose not to swing, I'm still going to make you swing, and I'm going to be able to gain resources and burn you for that, potentially. So it's really, really cool to have access to that now. So that's it for 5s. Jumping into the next bit here, we run 4 copies of Dinomon. He's still our main boss monster. Sec +1 fortitude, really, really strong. I'm not going to linger too much on him. He's been around for a hot minute now. On play on Evo, suspend 1, delete one of your opponents suspended with the lowest DP. Opponent's turn, while he is suspended, all of your opponent's Digimon can only attack suspended Digimon. So keep in mind, this basically, if your opponent has, like, all of your opponent's effects, even if they have something that says this Digimon's attack target can't be redirected, he gets around that. Because he's not affecting the attack process necessarily. He's basically making it a blanket effect, almost like Venus in that sense, where the other target's not even eligible, right? Because it's not blocking, it's not like a redirect or anything like that. It's saying that these are the only valid targets you can choose in the first place. So he stops like Mega Seedramon X's inherit, the Huangkun from BT-17 or BT-18 inherit. That lets you ignore, or this Digimon's attack target can't change. It ignores all those effects. However, it does not ignore Magna X's protection. If Magna X, for example, gets its protection live, it ignores that Dinomon's opponent's turn effect, and he can still swing for the fences at security. So if they're able to have a security get removed and activate their protection afterwards, that's something that they can do. So just something to keep in mind with how that effect works. We recently had some clarification on that because I used to know it, and then I haven't played the deck in so long that I forgot it, and then we jumped back into playing the deck, and here we are. So that's how that works. Jumping on to the rest of our level 6s here. 1 copy of Zafaga Ace. Just nice in case we end on one of our Tyrannomons. Level 5 Tyrannomons. Just a solid ace card. You'll typically have plenty of suspended bodies. You yourself will be suspended, so you're almost guaranteed to bottom deck something when you go into him. And he can be weirdly aggressive as well, and he pairs really well when we have Medieval Gallantmon in the deck, who is always just a nice card to hard drop to help kind of swing game in your favor if you're behind sometimes, and still can Evo, hard Evo over these guys pretty effectively just fine, and then still threaten Ace with Zafaga Ace. So just a couple of tech cards in there to kind of round it out. Even if I had room for other level 6s, I don't know if I would necessarily run them. If I did make room, it would be to run maybe 1 or 2 copies of the Promo Rust Tyranno. But I don't know if I would chop away at these ratios at all. I'd probably still keep these guys the same. I'd maybe just cut away elsewhere. But yeah, so that's level 6s for us. Jumping into Tamers. I know my Tamer lineup probably looks a little bit weird. Initially, my first build was actually 2 Mimi and 4 Ryutaro. But I couldn't find my other Mimis, so I was running just the 1. And then after playtesting it a fair bit with only the 1, I kind of liked it, so I just kept it. So we run 1 copy of the old BT-1 tie because he still comes up pretty effectively. Being able to give you that extra sec +1 on your Medieval Gallant or your Dinomon is really helpful. Just letting you get that extra damage in. I mean, Dinomon can potentially be 4 checks if you have Master Tyranno and Inherits with him on board. And even as a 1-of, you get so much card draw and search that it's not the hardest thing to find him. Just trying to look for him. And if he comes out of security, even better too for you. So that's a really nice thing there. 4 copies of Ryutaro Williams. This is your main bread and butter for your combos and stuff like that. It helps you with memory gain. But in case you aren't familiar with him, when one of your Digimon with Tyrannomon in its name attacks, by suspending this Tamer, that Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Tyrannomon in its name or the dinosaur trait in the ham with the cost reduced by 1. So he basically is another version of Tyranno X's effect, just letting you kind of hype up your line, because typically your play will be push up like this Tyrannomon, for example, Evo into Tyranno X, swing, Tyranno X effect Evo, Ryutaro effect Evo, etc. So that was the old combo. Now there's a few more different ways you can kind of play it out, which is really, really cool. But you almost always be able to climb your full line and go into Dinomon and swing for a bunch of damage, delete some things on your opponent's board and set up this big annoying fortitude guy for your opponent to deal with on future turns. It's almost it's something I'd like to compare it to sometimes. It's almost like budget Gallantmon, where you sort of well, yes, the steps you take are different in getting there. The end goal is typically the same, where you're potentially just threatening game the following turn, or at least for sure locking your opponent out of the game on the following turn. When you do your push up and you go up your line from being a little guy up to all the way to your boss monster and swinging at the same time. So it's similar in that aspect, just obviously different steps and effects along the way. Gallant probably is a good chunk more removal than Dinomon does, but Dinomon is still decent in that sense and has a Fortitude can be really funny for certain interactions. It kind of just hard counters certain decks where they just can't get around it. It really hurts them. Anyways, and then last Tamer we have is one copy of Mimi Tachikawa from BT1. Like I said, I couldn't find my other one of her. I did find it now, but I've been enjoying just running the one Tai, one Mimi. It's been working pretty well. They're both memory setters, so they help you in that sense. And then she just either gives you more aggression, or she gives you more bodies on board. He gives you more aggression. So they both serve a purpose, and they're fairly easy to find. So that's been really nice so far. Moving on to options, one copy of Green Scramble. We only need the one. You don't really use it that often. Honestly, I'm still like 50-50 on even keeping it in. The only times I've used it so far were for a few instances where I could deal with something by swinging at it or over it, but I was worried about an ace play or something else. And I use it to basically just like hard evo into a 5 before I do something else. Or like if I'm missing like a Tyranno X and I have Ryutaro, or vice versa, like I don't have all the cards needed to do the double evo in the swing. Scramble can be nice to let you go up into the higher, like, you know, your level 5 and then save your Ryutaro for the Dinomon like evo on swing play. So that's the main reason why it's still there. And it can be nice to help you kind of jump back into the game to play out a rookie if you're behind, and then like put pieces back onto your deck and stuff like that. So it still serves a purpose there. For agility trainings, it's trainings. Consistency, reduce evo costs. It's nice if you weren't able to evo in the back the turn prior. You find him off of playing the training, and then you can push up your Agu, go into Tyranno, get the Windage Evolving, and then do your whole combo from there if you have everything else and you're just missing Tyranno. So nice in that sense. And then 2 copies of the BT-22 Antibody. Still a really good card out of security for the memory gain. Can't be stripped, which is really, really nice. Lets you tuck it under Dinomon to reactivate his Fortitude after he's been deleted and plays back out, which is really, really good. And now we actually have a lot more merit to it because we have extra X Antibody pieces in the deck. So that if we're missing the actual, the regular, like level 5 or level 4, we can give their effects, we can still activate their effects. Or if we're like mismatching stuff, we can still activate their effects. And then in addition to all that too, it also lets you like do an even further evo process now, where you can swing Tyranno X, go into Metal Tyranno, X Antibody when attacking effect to evo into Metal Tyranno X, and then Ryutaro effect to go into Dinomon. So now you can actually evo 3 times in the combo instead of just the 2. It has more value now. It still had value even before, but has way more now. So it's really, really cool. But yeah, that's the list. Dinomon's pretty cool. It's pretty effective. There's a few bad matchups for it. Like I think Eaters is pretty rough. Almost any deck that sets up a big immune guy that you can't delete, that can just threaten to just punch your face in on the following turn, or punch your Dinomon's face in on the following turn and still be immune, is just really, really hard to deal with. But the deck has a lot of really, really cool tools now. It has different DP climbing tools, deletion tools, memory gain tools. Like it's a lot of stuff that the deck definitely benefits from more than anything else. And just different ways you can play it too, right? Like this is just my list. Obviously you can incorporate and take it on your own spin and see what you can do with it. And I think that in a post-banless world, what we have coming up, there's a real chance for Dinomon to actually do some really cool stuff, depending on how its days go and everything else, right? So we'll see how it does. I'm optimistic for it. I think even right now, it's still a pretty fun deck to play. It's like I think it's like tier 1.5, maybe like top of tier 2, just like can be surprising. It's a good rogue deck. It's a very, very good rogue deck. So that's the list. That's everything I got for you guys today. Again, if you have any ideas or comments or things that you think would improve the deck, or you have any questions about it, go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below. We also have our Discord as well, where you can ask questions. We have a whole like deck discussion thread, or deck profile thread thing there, where there is a Dinomon list in there as well. I have this list in there. If you guys want to take a peek at it, and you can discuss stuff in there as well. And that's gonna be it for me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm gonna head out. You guys have a good one. Bye.